Hello, jeweler. Welcome to the Science of Happiness. This is going to be a very short video just talking about something that I've found too important to not share about when it comes to what makes people happy in business. I don't know if you can relate to this, but when I was 18 years old, I was incredibly stressed out. You're just about to finish up high school, and all the adults in your life are asking you all the same questions, and while they're all very well-meaning, and to them it's just about starting up a conversation, to you it feels like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. What are you going to do with your life? What do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to study? Where are you going to college? Why? What is it you hope to become? Do you have any idea what you want to do after college? And these questions are debilitating. Here you have a person who, up until this point, has always had to raise his or her hand just to use the bathroom. And you're asking them to decide on the remainder of their life's path. It's truly, truly stressful. And so naturally, every one of those kids feels this burning need to answer these questions because they're being asked them so often. So the 18-year-old asks, how do you know what to do for the rest of your life? Normally the reply is, well, what are you passionate about? Or rather, what is it you want to do? Again, these seem well-meaning, but they are just as stress-inducing. We have this narrative going around in society that we should all do what we're passionate about. Do what your heart leads you to do. Find your passion, find your calling. However, there's such a wildly high amount of people who have followed their passion and are depressed with their lives that it begs the question, are we really giving the right advice? This might seem strange or new, but follow your passion is really bad advice. First of all, what is a passion? A fleeting desire? Something that makes us feel good? When 18-year-olds are asked what they're passionate about, they normally list a lot of things. But when you look over what they've listed, very few of the answers are transferable, marketable skills. Things such as, I'm passionate about relationships in my life, or I love lacrosse, or I love to read, or I love watching movies, or I love hanging out with my friends, or any number of things, it turns out, are not very marketable. But let's dive even further. Do you like to read? I love to read. I read non-stop. It's almost like an addiction. I just always have to have a face. I always have to have my face in a book. But it wasn't always that way. In fact, up until about college, I hated reading. It was boring. It was lame. It took away time from hanging out with my friends. I fell asleep when I tried to read, and I could never find a book that would hold my attention past the first 5 pages. So what was the problem? Was it just that I had no chance of becoming a person who loved reading, just not a reader? Nope, because now probably 50% of my conversations are filled with things that I'm learning from books. I'm obsessed with books. Okay, so was it that every book that I picked up was just horribly written? Absolutely not. They were classics. They're books that I've now gladly, easily finished. So what was the biggest problem? Or have you ever had something which you love doing, even, possibly making jewelry, and someone told you, "Hey, it looks like you're passionate about making jewelry, or you're pretty good at this, or you're good at baking, or whatever. You should start a business." And then what happens? Yes, you used to love making jewelry, but something is different now. All of a sudden, that passion that you once had has now waned, and making jewelry doesn't feel like a blessing anymore. It feels like a chore that you wish you didn't have to do. You have deadlines, and you have a pile of work to get through. The same thing is very true for sports athletes who follow their sport as far as possible. It's true for bakers, mechanics, designers, coaches, and every other activity that we can pursue. The reason I didn't like reading wasn't because of the books or because I'm not a reader. It was because I had to do it. When I look back, a major part of the reason I now love reading wasn't there. I had to get through a certain number of books, and I had a certain number of pages just in order to hit a deadline, to make a grade. The goal was no longer reading for the sake of reading. It was reading for the sake of doing what I was told. And it didn't matter what I was reading. If there was a book report due or I had to get through a certain amount in a certain amount of time, it lost its luster. C.S. Lewis once said that the essence of joy is doing something for the sake of itself. Reading for the sake of reading, exercising for the sake of exercising, making jewelry for the sake of making jewelry, doing something simply for doing it. That is where joy in doing something has come from. And when you look at studies of people who are incredibly satisfied in their work and those who are not, you also find something very interesting. What we find is that passion plays practically no role whatsoever in whether someone loves what they do. In fact, statistically speaking, someone who followed their passion in choosing their career path, someone who followed their passion in choosing their career path is a better indicator of a person who is frustrated than someone who is satisfied in their work. So if it's not passion, like everyone thinks, that should be then what should be most considered when we decide what we want to do with our lives? What is the criteria? And do we need to choose just one thing? We'll answer the second question first. Did you know that the average career expectancy today is just 7 years? Not 50, not 40 or 20 or 10, it's 7 years. What that means is that if you believe you have to choose something that will last more than 7 years, then you're setting out to do something abnormal. It's okay to change careers throughout your life. In fact, it's expected and normal. This is also a huge factor to explain to those who are trying to decide what to do with the rest of their lives. Your decision isn't permanent or binding. You have the ability to change. In fact, it's better to approach finding a career in the same way we find solutions for our clients. Try something. Give it your all. Listen to the feedback you receive from yourself about whether or not it's working, and then either pivot or persevere. But okay, when we look at people who are satisfied with their jobs and couldn't imagine doing anything else, what are the actual determining factors that have been observed that make them the happiest about their jobs? Is it high pay? Actually, no. Past a certain point where your living expenses are covered and you're able to afford some of the fun things you want, the amount of money you make after that has virtually no effect whatsoever on your sense of satisfaction in life. Okay, so is it working less hours? Actually, again, no. It's been observed that there are people who spend an amazing amount of time working, quote unquote, while reporting incredibly high amounts of satisfaction in their lives. One of the most interesting studies to me is one done by a guy named Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi. A group of teenagers were given beepers that went off during random times throughout the day. They were asked to record their thoughts and feelings at the time of the beeps. Most of the entries indicated that the teens were unhappy, but Csikszentmihalyi found that when their energies were focused on a challenging task, they tended to be more upbeat. This study then repeated with professional level adults, and the exact same results were found. People were most satisfied with their lives while they were deeply pouring into a challenging task. Unlike what most people thought, it wasn't when they were relaxed and doing nothing. It was when they were working hard on a challenging task that they themselves reported feeling the most happy. This state of satisfaction comes about through achieving what is commonly referred to as flow state, or those times where it seems like the world just fades away around you and it's just you and the task at hand. This can happen while working, while skiing, while running, while playing an instrument, while engrossed in a deep conversation, anything. But there are normally some precursors that determine when it happens, and which we'll talk about at the end of this video. Okay, so we don't need to choose one thing. And if people from a variety of jobs can experience high levels of satisfaction, so then what are the most important factors to consider when it comes to finding something that will make you happy in life? In my opinion, learning these factors and then doing everything possible to ensure that they are built into your life experience is imperative. If what you are seeking is a satisfying life experience, then you need to understand what these factors mean and make it your goal to see them realized in your own life. And in my own experience, with my own job, I have done and continue to do everything I can to design a life that allows for all of these factors to be present and guarded without exception. The three factors that determine whether or not a person will report feeling satisfied in life, regardless of career choice, are number one, purpose, two, competency, and three, autonomy. So, what is purpose? Put plainly, it is exactly what you think it would mean. If you feel your job is contributing in some way to the world in a way that matters to you, then your job, by definition, has purpose. If you feel, however, that your job does not do that, then you lack purpose. For example, my wife is a nurse for children that have cancer. So, does she feel like she has purpose in life? Absolutely, she does. My best friend trades ETFs for large multi-billion-dollar companies. Does he feel that what he does has purpose or is important to the world? No, he doesn't. He feels that his job lacks purpose. My mom owns a jewelry store and has thousands of satisfied customers who love her work and wouldn't go anywhere else. Does she feel like she has purpose? Yes, she does. I help jewelers like my mom to realize their God-given potential by breaking through unnecessary barriers in their minds as well as their marketing. I get texts all the time from my clients thanking me for what I've done with them. Do I feel that my work has purpose? Yes. If you don't feel that your job has purpose, then take the time to consider what about your job feels purposeless, how you can build purpose into it, or in what ways others have built purpose into doing their jobs. The second part is competency. Competency is the ability to do something successfully or efficiently. So if you've mastered your craft, you are an expert in your field, you are an authority in what you do, and have proven that to yourself, then you have competency. My wife has been helping children with cancer for years and has seen plenty of children recover to know that what does, she knows that she's truly good at it. My wife has competency. My best friend has made incredible trades that have made millions and millions of dollars, and he continues to be promoted higher and higher within his organization. So, he has competency. My mom is sought after by people from all around the country because of what she is uniquely able to create for her clients. She has created some amazing pieces and is paid highly for her work. She has competency. I've helped about 30 individual jewelers transition their style of business from cloudy to clarity and have built out effective systems which time and time again have proven their merit by delivering superior results over very large stretches of time. I'm doing jewelry marketing better than any other group that I know of, and I'm constantly being asked questions and being offered work. I have competency. If you don't feel that you're competent in your job, then it's likely because you haven't been doing it long enough. You need to build what's called career capital, and it can only be achieved through actually doing the job that you want to do. Competency is luckily the easiest of these three to achieve because there are training programs and schools which will help you get your levels up higher and higher. Neither purpose nor autonomy truly has that luxury. You can't learn or practice either of those. The third part, and without a doubt, the absolute most important part of whether or not you'll be satisfied with your work is autonomy. Autonomy in work is the ability to freely, without the say from anyone else, determine what you do, how much you're paid, how long you do it for, and for whom you do it. Autonomy is so incredibly important because it allows your work to fit your lifestyle, not the other way around. Rather than sacrificing your life for work, your work becomes a tool that is used in creating the life that you want. My wife, as a nurse, doesn't have autonomy. She doesn't determine what she makes, how long she works for, who she treats, or what she's doing when she gets to work. All of this is controlled by someone else, and it creates a massive sense of powerlessness and lack of ability to move around in the world. Her life and the hours within that life are determined by somebody else. And if you know any nurses and ask them about these three things, they will likely tell you the exact same thing. And all of their complaints will revolve around their lack of autonomy. My best friend has been able to negotiate a contract wherein he can work completely from home and works now on a project-to-project basis rather than hour by hour. While he doesn't determine whatsoever he makes from his company, he is obviously a very experienced trader and has been able to supplement his own income with the money he trades for himself professionally. He does, however, still have to take sick days, answer to a boss, be on his computer 5 days a week, and accept whatever he's paid. He has limited autonomy. My mom owns her own business and until very recently had little to no autonomy. She worked 60 to 70-hour weeks for years while feeling a complete inability to take any vacations because the store depended on her to stay open. She was able to decide what she was paid on each job, which gives her a sense of money autonomy. However, this didn't make up for her lack of time. She had limited autonomy. Since I began reworking her business model, she now has been able to take more than 15 vacations this year alone, can block off huge long weekends to go and hang out with her grandkids, and is now making more money than before while spending less time because we're getting more of the higher income clients than we did before. Very soon, we'll be transferring her to an even more autonomous business model so that she can continue down this path of autonomy and be more satisfied in her life than she's ever been. I have complete control over how much I make. If I want to work with someone, I can decide to do that or not, and it won't affect me in any significant way normally to have to tell someone no. As far as time is concerned, I'm only truly required to work about 4 to 5 hours per month in order to fund my lifestyle and afford most of the other things that I want. Because of this, I have plenty of free time to go hiking, spend time with friends, travel all the time, and take on large other fun projects for my clients that don't stress me out. I learned early on that autonomy and purpose and competency are the keys to satisfaction in life, and I wanted to build those into my life without compromise. Because I've done that so far and vowed to continue to do that, I now find myself on the outside looking in at most of my friends and family who are still lacking parts of these three things, and I have a burning desire to help them. I also look at all of my clients in the same way as well as my students, and I want others to achieve the same goals that I've achieved in my own life. Also, if you're a business owner who's wondering why your employees are not satisfied or they're not as satisfied as they could be with their jobs, studies show that incorporating these three factors into your employees' lives is significantly more important than any pay raise you could possibly give them. If you want people who would never dare leave you, build a system that allows for purpose, competency, and autonomy in their lives. When you work these three factors into your own life, you will experience higher levels of happiness and satisfaction than you ever have up to this point. This course will help you get there. And if you're looking for a purpose, then creating a life that allows these three things is certainly one worth considering. It is not easy, but it is worth it. In the words of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, the best moments in our lives are not the passive, receptive, relaxing times. The best moments usually occur if a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile.